Oh, Microsoft, how the mighty have fallen.
We're starting to see some very just damaging things happening to Windows, especially on the back end.
Microsoft is overloading their operating system with a ton of ads, upsells, and unwanted in-operating system content.
Bill Gates is reportedly watching developments in the PC industry with growing concern as the ecosystem that helped build Microsoft's dominance begins to shift. HP, one of the most influential computer manufacturers in the world, is now said to be stepping back from its long-standing reliance on Windows. What began as a quiet internal review focused on cutting costs has evolved into something far more significant. Insiders say HP is preparing to position Linux as the default operating system on a large portion of its consumer laptops. If the move gains momentum and other manufacturers follow suit, it could unravel a tradition that has defined personal computing for nearly 4 decades. The assumption that every new PC arrives with Windows already installed.
I hate Windows 11, so I'm switching to Linux. Yes, that's right. On this drive is our next operating system for this PC. So say goodbye to Windows because we're shutting this down.
Windows became a global powerhouse largely because it was always there waiting when people powered on a new computer. From electronic stores to office supply chains, nearly every laptop on the shelf booted into Microsoft's operating system right out of the box. That built-in distribution advantage created enormous value for Microsoft over the years. But during an earnings call in January 2025, HP CEO Enrique Lores hinted at a dramatic shift that caught industry watchers by surprise. He revealed that, beginning in the third quarter of the year, about 40% of HP's consumer laptop lineup would launch with Linux installed as the default system. This wouldn't be a hidden developer option or a niche configuration buried deep in an online menu. It would be the standard experience customers see the moment they open the laptop.
I even listened to the naysayers and ditched Windows way last year. And now that Microsoft is forcing their users to upgrade to Windows 11, lots of people are doing the same thing and switching to Linux.
Windows isn't disappearing from HP devices entirely. But the company's new approach flips decades of industry logic on its head. Customers who still prefer Microsoft's operating system will reportedly need to request it specifically and pay an additional $75 for the upgrade. In a single strategic move, HP has reversed the relationship that defined the PC market for more than 30 years. Linux becomes the starting point, while Windows transforms into the optional premium feature. For a company that once helped cement Windows as the universal default, the decision marks a dramatic shift in how the industry could operate moving forward.
Well, basically, we talked about Windows updates causing Phison-based controlled SSDs, which span a range of manufacturers, to basically, under certain use cases, drop off and disappear from Windows. And then that would cause a blue screen, and then a restart would either bring the drive back to life, or in a handful of cases, not.
The reasoning behind HP's decision comes down largely to economics. By 2025, the true cost of shipping Windows on every device had grown far beyond the licensing fee itself. That license alone represents a noticeable expense on each machine, especially in the fiercely competitive $400 to $600 laptop segment, where manufacturers rely on razor-thin margins. Every dollar saved or lost can determine whether a product remains profitable. On top of that, Windows 11 introduced a series of hardware requirements that pushed manufacturing costs even higher. Security chips, strict processor compatibility rules, and increased expectations for memory and storage all forced companies to invest more into components simply to ensure the operating system ran smoothly. Those added costs often pushed devices into price ranges where they struggled to compete.
Look at and then promptly decline the various deals I was getting with Microsoft 365 Personal with 1 month free, or more cloud storage for only $199 a month, as well as a Game Pass Premium for another $14.99 a month. Then, and only then, I was in. Finally, I had done it. After about an hour of sitting there, waiting, clicking through unwanted material, I was there.
Then comes the ongoing challenge of customer support. Updates occasionally disrupt drivers or slow systems unexpectedly, prompting confused users to contact support centers searching for answers. When return rates rise, the financial impact can be severe. Retail returns don't just reduce profits, they create logistical headaches that ripple across inventory, shipping, and refurbishment systems. According to industry chatter, HP studied these patterns closely and reached a sobering conclusion. In high-volume consumer categories, Windows was cutting deeply into already thin profit margins, while customers blamed the hardware manufacturer whenever problems appeared. Rather than gamble on an untested alternative, HP quietly experimented with another approach first. The results reportedly surprised even internal analysts.
But eventually, I think Microsoft will incur so much tech debt that Windows just gets worse and worse, and it's going to just be like an exponential graph. As it grows, you're going to have to find other solutions and other operating systems as Windows kind of circles the drain. Now, I'm not saying this is going to happen tomorrow.
In March 2024, HP placed roughly 40,000 laptops preloaded with Ubuntu Linux on its website. There was no major advertising push, no flashy campaign, and no big announcement. The machines were simply listed with competitive pricing and clear specifications. Within a short time, the entire batch sold out. Customer reviews came back stronger than comparable Windows models, and the return rate dropped significantly. Even support call volumes decreased. For HP, it was essentially a large-scale experiment conducted on one of the world's biggest consumer electronics.
No one likes Windows.
Storefronts and the outcomes strongly favored Linux.
No one likes Windows 11. A lot even hate it with a passion. And my algorithm is flooded with videos like these. But as a Linux and macOS enjoyer, I've actually never used Windows 11.
There were still a few limitations to consider. Certain professional software tools, specialized applications, and some gaming scenarios continued to favor Windows. Those challenges remain part of the equation, but HP's strategy was never about abandoning Windows overnight. Instead, the idea was to make Linux the default choice in the areas where it works best, everyday computing. For the typical consumer who needs a web browser, productivity apps, video calls, and streaming services, Linux performs perfectly well. And that group represents the majority of laptop buyers worldwide. Once HP began moving in that direction, the rest of the PC manufacturing world started paying very close attention. The moment one industry giant challenges the status quo, every other major player begins quietly asking the same question: should we do the same?
Everyone knows that Windows 11 comes with a big pile of bloat. But can't you just remove that? Well, yes, but it's not easy if you want bloat removed permanently and not just return after